he's a Democrat, right?
Yeah, we're on the air, Rip. We're not talking politics on the air.
I'm asking a question.
I don't know. I didn't look up any political anything. I don't know. I'm not doing politics.
Oh, good. All I did was ask a question.
Yeah, I answered it. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't know.
Well, it was going to lead into a thing that was funny.
Oh. So you're writing jokes today?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a show. We're doing a show right now, Rip.
Well, are we on?
Yeah, I said that a little bit ago, and you said, well, I asked you a question. I said, we're live on the air. I'm not talking politics live on the air. And you said, I asked you a question.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And, all right. Well, I didn't hear no music or nothing. I guess no music even playing, so.
Well, you've never heard music for the last
I know that, but you
6
usually
months,
say you're going to be
that
on.
doesn't mean it wasn't playing. It was playing.
Well, how would I know?
Well, I don't know. Watch me do the head bob, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I can't see the head bob.
Pay attention. I don't know. Look at the clock. You got your phone on vertical just so you can look at the clock. So look at the damn clock.
Well, I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time seeing today. Seeing, walking, you name it.
Welcome to Wrestling with Rip Rogers. Ask Rip Rogers Live. Today is Friday, December 5th. And we're back. We were off last week, Rip. Back and better than ever. I'm on good for the next, I think, 2 weeks, I think. And then the 20, what is today? 12, 19, 26. I think I'm off on the 26th. Put that in your calendar. And after this, also remind me, Rip, so I can teach you how to make a Facebook post. Even though you post every single day on Facebook, I asked you to post about this show today in Barron Hill, and you said, I don't know how to post on Facebook.
Okay.
Well, you post every day.
Well, most of the time when I do this, I'll do stuff and I do stuff accidentally.
So you accidentally post on Facebook every day?
Well, I just pushed something. Somebody else put something up there, and I just pushed where they repeated or whatever the hell it's called.
You do a repeating post, huh?
Well, whatever. If somebody posts something, it's like I think it was a Dave Marquez thing. He said, and I just pushed a button that said it would repeat and be on the thing or whatever.
All right. Let's see who's in the chat today. So we're coming off the big Lars Anderson episode. That was really cool. Got some good views on it. Something I put in there got blocked though. I can't remember. Some kind of footage I showed. We got a little YouTube ding. They said WWE claimed something that we showed or said or did or something. Anyway, God, what was I just going to say? I totally just drew a blank.
Well, wait till you get my age. You'll just be a human blank.
Thought it was something good. Maybe not. Stephen Key. So YouTube's got everybody's like real name again in here. I don't know. It's kind of weird again. Stephen Keys -X4W Italian GNSE. I don't know what all this stuff's supposed to mean.
I don't either, but when all the stuff I get in and people are following Instagram, it's got that shit now.
Jim Zabel in green in the house. T-Pack back in the house. That's T-Pack. Jim Zabel got his real name on here, I guess, today.
Shit, he must be running away from his wife or something. He's got his real name on there before he was the kayfabe secret guy, I guess.
I think it's because how YouTube's got it again with these @ symbols. Gorgeous George is here. Big George. Is that his new name? Is that his nickname? I didn't know about it. Gorgeous George. Is that?
I don't think so. You mean George Lambert?
Yeah. Yeah, he's here. Big George, I call him.
Oh, no. Well, Big George was Eddie Munster.
Oh well, Eddie Munster's. I call it Big George on this show. Big George. Okay. Frank's Pickle Barrel asked in green. Shane Parks in green from Oregon. Wild Man from Savannah. Is this thing on? He said. Who that is?
Oh, that's the goddamn. Don't put him over at all. That's
okay.
That's the wild man Joe. We ain't gonna put him over.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, they're all new names on here. At
Uh-huh.
Manuel Valverde 4191, T Weasel in the chat today.
Don't put him over. He's got hot dogs on his neck.
MC Kueller 44 from Westfield, Indiana, in here today. I don't know half these people now with the new names. Billy, that's the same. In green says, "Fan, we got a big fight going on. Feel like my parents are fighting." Talking about me and you, I guess.
Well,
Big 903 in the house. Jason Sin in the house today from Seymour, Indiana.
Holy moly!
I tried to get you to post on Facebook about it for all your Seymour followers, but you refused. So I went in and put it in the that Jackson County. If you were born in Jackson County group on Facebook, I know you've read through it before. Okay. That group, on Facebook, you're a member of it. It says if you were born in Jackson County.
Yeah, I know there's some local thing like that.
Yeah, so I posted about it today. So maybe we'll get some new listeners today.
Shoot, we might get all those women from Seymour Brownstown, the girls that were hot in 1970, 71, 72, 73, stuff like that. So
I bet we get a lot of cheerleaders from the early 70s on this show today.
They don't look like they did when they was cheerleading.
I bet you look exactly the same.
Well, my weight's the same, put it that way.
Not talking about your weight. Yeah, Jason Sin said he saw I posted it. Yeah, sweet. You get a super chat question in here before. We got Baron Hill coming in today. Baron Hill is a Seymour legend. When we went over our video, we got a video right here on this channel, the most famous people from Seymour, Indiana, and we definitely mentioned Baron Hill in that list. As a matter of fact, I just went to AI right before this show started, and I said, who are the most famous people from Seymour, Indiana? They said John Mellencamp, which most of you probably heard of John Mellencamp. George Green, who wrote songs for John Mellencamp, Kenny Rogers, and Dolly Parton. Terry Moore, who is the IU basketball coach, women's. Pat Calhoun is an Olympic swimmer. Rip Rogers, Mark Shira says, in parentheses, a professional wrestler. Katie Stam, Miss America. Rob Weedoff, the actor and voice actor that plays John Marston. And Baron Hill, who is going to be on this show in about 15 minutes or 10 minutes or something. How about that, Rip?
That's great. This is the greatest one ever so far.
So far. Shane Park says, any memories of Gordon Soley? $5 super chat. Just getting this podcast going today for us.
Well, let me talk about, as Aaron Ladd say, let me talk about the great Gordon Soley. Well, let's see. Gordon was my announcer for WCW, Pro Wrestling This Week. He was there for when I was wrestling down for Championship Wrestling from Florida in 1985. And then I was there with him, with Ron Fuller in Continental. So I had a lot of places I went. Me and Gordon were, I was there as the wrestler, and he was there as the world's greatest announcer. The inimitable Gordon Soley. He'd be talking about, notice the excellent muscular definition and conformation. Oh, that it is. He hurt his pectoralis major and minor. And then when you on those legs, on that drop kick, you're using the semimembranosus, the semitendinosus, and the biceps femoris. Brother. Little Gordon Soley.
Man, it's good. Good right there, Rip. We got one more here. $10 super chat from center of the board. Hey, Rip and Vaughn, glad to see you guys again. Question: a lot of unknown guys like Denny Brown, Nelson Royal, and Tommy Gilbert were known to be great trainers of legends. Tell us about these guys.
Well, it's about time you got back here on center of the board. I've been missing you.
I see you down there, Baron. We'll get to you in just a couple minutes.
Okay. Let me see now. Denny Brown, great junior heavyweight from the Charlotte territory. Nelson Royal was one of the greatest light heavyweight champions ever of the NWA. Tommy Gilbert, now his son Doug Gilbert is still wrestling. That was Eddie Gilbert's father, and then Tommy used to ride with us in Southeastern. And in the last I seen of Tommy, he was a referee for Bill Watts in Mid South years ago. So I think I covered everybody, but Denny Brown, he was a junior heavyweight champion one time. Nelson Royal, well, I can consider him. Called him Nelly. He was the greatest one that I liked. Tommy Gilbert was a hell of a worker, and he had. I didn't say he had a dry sense of humor. He was basically one of those guys that never smiled. and I remember Ron Fuller would ribby and Tommy would just sort of shake his head.
Yeah, I see you down there. I'll get you on here and we got one more question to answer, and then I'll pull you up here. Oh, you can't hear us? Like right now, you can't hear me. You can't hear me talking. So I would just check here. Let me pull up a question for Rip while I'm talking to you on the phone here. Here, Rip, we got a question here. Flair versus Dusty shoot fight. Who would have won? Flair versus Dusty. So on the
in a shoot fight, who would win? Who knows? I know Flair was a legit athlete. Dusty was a legit athlete, but as he got older, let's just say he was out of shape. So he had probably good 2 minutes in him. And Flair, he was in excellent shape as he was a cardio machine. He was a workout machine. So let's see. I think Dusty would be, he was too far out of shape. So it'd have to be Flair just for being in shape. So both great wrestlers, both great workers, both great men were the icons of pro wrestling as far as wrestling matches. Dusty as a booker drew a lot of money, made a lot of money. So let's just say a shoot fight. Really, I guess we'll never know. But anyway, yeah, let's just go that way. There could be an upset. You never know.
Yeah. Talking to you. You can see me? Yeah, that's me right here. I got a camera right there looking down. Let me just pull you in here and see.
Oh, is that Baron?
Now, if I'm talking into the mic, you can't hear me through the mic?
No.
So I can see myself. So I hear you through my computer right now. But you can't hear me, though? Like, you can't hear me through the mic? Okay, so there's got to be a... Can you just say like testing 1 2 3? So I can hear I could hear your chair and stuff move around. It's weird. But not. Yeah, I could hear it through my.
You sure that's not the phone?
Oh.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Phone?
Could you just hear that, Rip? Him talking?
Yeah, I can hear him talking.
Yeah, I could just hear that. You just said, you sure that's not through the phone? And I could actually hear that through the computer. So you got something working, kind of, ish. I can. Okay, let me just go ahead and I can remove you off here because it's not going to matter. Let me pull Rip up another question. If I can find one. Figure out something to talk about, Rip.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at that question right there. Somebody has to let Jamie Dundee know that Missy Hyatt is dating good old JR. Well, I don't know if she's dating him or not. She did at one time, but I don't think that's an item anymore. But then again, I'm not with it into who's with who or whatever. But But with JR was in Missy Hyatt when she was young. Wow, I'd have spent my allowance on her. But anyway, we're sitting here waiting on the great Baron Hill. We're trying to get him in. We got
There's a Rip question. Were you ever around Dr. D, Rip?
I would be around Dr. D when he would be in when we go to some of those conventions. You know, there are autograph things, and they get pictures of you and stuff like that. And he was basically the character he was on TV when he slapped that John Stossel. And he was trained by Herb Welch, so he was a shooter. He was one of those real guys. But whenever I'd see David, I'd just say hello because I afraid he might slap me. So I was just, since he was over with me, I was just trying to keep his character over. And I don't think he smiled very much. But then again, I could have been wrong about that. But was I in a territory with him? No. He had broke in a couple years before I did, and he was always a legend, and he drew a lot of money in Calgary years ago, and Vancouver, besides the United States. So where we always respected him, always liked his character, and when I like guys' character, I like to put them over big time, and then the fans. I don't like it when like if the Undertaker's doing an interview and he's just talking normal.
I'm gonna text you a link.
I like Dr. D to be Dr. D, and whenever I saw Dr. D, he was Dr. D, so he'd just look at me and glare, and he'd scare me, so I'd run off back to my table or whatever. But he was one of the true icons of the business. Made a lot of money at this stuff. Sure got over for slapping John Stossel when he was trying to get over, saying wrestling was not real. But anyway,
here's a good question: who had the hardest chop ever?
Okay, I'll just give you about 3. I'm not going to say ever because I don't have my chopometer on me right now. It was Wahoo McDaniel. It was Ronnie Garvin. And I'm trying to think of the other one. Now I can't think. Yeah, Ronnie Garvin would beat the shit out of me. Wahoo would beat the shit out of me. And there was one Everett used to be on mine, but I can't think who it is. It'll probably hit me after we get off the air when I'm sleeping tomorrow or whatever. It'll all hit me.
I thought you were going to say me. Maybe I'm the one you can't remember.
That was it. I think that was it. Yeah.
All right. So, it wouldn't be a show if we didn't have technical difficulties. So we're trying to get the great Baron Hill on here. He is kind of like, if you want to compare him to, Rip, do you think he's smarter than you in real life?
Oh, hell yes.
Okay.
But, hey, now this was one of the highlights. I'm a sophomore in college at Seymour High School. Baron's sitting in back of me.
Can you hear me now, Baron?
Huh? And he's real smart. And all of a sudden we had some kind of quiz or something. And Muggsy Dyer was our teacher. Roger, shut up, help. So anyway, Baron didn't know something. So I sort of gave him the answers and stuff. So
hey, Baron, can you hear me? Just nod your head if you can hear me. All right. So he just heard you tell that story. We'll ask him here in just a second if it's true or not. We got one more super chat, and then we'll bring him on. I think we're going to be good to go. Center of the board, big $5 super chat says, what agreement allowed promoters like Paul Bosch and Bill Watts to use Nick Bockwinkel as the world champ?
Well, when I was working for Bill Watts in 1983, Houston was a great town. And Paul Bosch was the promoter, and he had his own TV on Channel 39. His announcer was Peter Burkholz, who was his son-in-law. So Watts acquired them, the Houston market. And if you run that son of a bitch about every 3 weeks, it's sold out every week. Every 2 weeks, it'd be real good. And then sometimes we'd run it 3 weeks in a row. It'd be just like a normal town. But what Watts would do is just like they would do, Paul Bosch would do at Houston, a lot of TVs went into Houston. The Von Erich tape would go into Houston. The WTBS that Ole was on would go into Houston. So he would have like super shows. That's like what Bill Watts would do when he'd run the Superdome. He would have the guys from Mid-South, a couple of matches from the Von Erich's territory, because their TVs were very strong. And then he'd partner up with Ole. That's why we draw 35,000 people on a Superdome show, even though we were running that sumbitch every week. So that's the power of TV.
All right. Thank you, Sarah DeBoard.
Oh, he looks just like me.
Rip,
Yay, Baron, the Baron, the
I'm
legend.
trying to
Growing
be
up
like
the
you with
beard,
this
huh?
new beard I got.
Yeah, I shave it once a year, whether I need it or not.
I hear you. I don't normally have a beard, but my granddaughter is 9 years old. When Christmas comes around, she always wants me to grow a beard. So that's the reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah, I get to $50 doing the Santa Claus things. Santa Claus. Anyway, we got the great Baron Hill here, and I know he won't put himself over, so he won't tell you how great he was. He won't tell you how he was so great in all sports that we called him God. G-A-W-D, not G-O-D, G-A-W-D. He was the man, the myth, the legend, and he come the most from, in my opinion, is the most athletic family that ever was in Seymour, Indiana, and all of his brothers. So it was John Sherman, Tony, Mark, Bode, and Baron, right?
Tony, John, Duke, Bode,
Yeah.
and Baron. That's right.
Okay. So one of the highlights when I was playing slow pitch softball, I was a bat boy for the.
Oh, here we go. Rip, we can't hear you now. You got to exit out of it. So just to let you know, Baron, this is pretty typical for our show. We have a lot of technical difficulties.
Uh-huh.
So just keep that in mind. So right now, Rip is talking, and he thinks we're laughing at him and can hear him and has no idea right now. Can you hear Rip right now?
I cannot hear him.
Yeah, I can't either. So he's not aware of that. So I'm going to have to let him know now. That's the only problem here, like using your phone that you're on right now.
Yeah.
Like if you get phone calls in or text in or stuff like that, then you have some troubles like Rip. Rip, we can't. But good thing is our audience is used to it. Now, if we got any new listeners today from Seymour, they may not be too used to it. So you guys are just gonna have to bear with us. Yeah. We haven't heard anything you said. You got to exit all the way out. You went black and then back on. You got to exit out and rejoin.
Well, let me find out. Okay. Shit.
So I will continue on. Oh wait, let's see. Can you hear us, Rip? You never exited all the way out. You got to exit all the way out. You got to close your app, like I tell you every week when this happens. Like you got to leave the whole thing and rejoin. You got to leave the whole thing, Rip. So Baron,
Yes.
I've got some questions, luckily, ready for you here. Rip was saying the greatest family. You're the baby of the family, right? Is that?
I am the baby. That was a mistake.
Oh, is that like a known thing, or is that just like a family joke thing, or
It's kind of a family joke, but it's also true. All my brothers are a lot older than I am. And then I have a sister too. She's next to me in age, but she's 9 years older than I am. My mother was 45 years old when I was born.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I always knew Rip's always said, "Oh, he was a mistake." I didn't know there was that big of age difference. So what's the difference between the oldest and you?
My oldest brother was 27 years older than I was.
Oh my goodness. So what? I got to call Rip again. So what was that like? Just that age difference. I mean, that had to be.
Well, you know, actually, I didn't know my brothers as a kid. They were all out of the household, with the exception of Mark. I kind of remember him when I was a kid because he was in the house. But the rest of my brothers were all gone and either married or go off to college.
Wow. So then they would come back and they'd like come back and visit and like, oh, that's my brother. I
Yep.
never. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So they were all into sports too, or most of them then?
Yeah, they were all good athletes. Every one of them were.
That's all. I heard of it's Bode, right? That's the one I hadn't heard of. Like,
Bode had a big reputation, and also Tony, the oldest. Tony was the oldest boy in our family, and he was a good ball player. He went on to play for IU, and then Bode went to play for IU as well.
oh, they did basketball or football?
Basketball.
So I know you went on to play. We'll get there in a minute. I know you went on to play basketball, but like growing up and everything was basketball, football. Did you play baseball at all? Which one did you think you were? Were you always the best at basketball, or?
That was the love that I had. That was the sport that I loved the most. The sport that I was actually best in was track and field.
Oh yeah, I got some stuff on that too. I got a couple quotes of people saying that you were the fastest person they had ever seen. So that's pretty impressive. I'm going to try to call Rip here one more time and see if he'll
All
actually
right.
talk to me this time. He keeps hanging up on me.
Now, in our conversation, Clint, were we on the podcast?
No,
Okay.
no. I saved you from. Yeah, we can't hear you on the show, Rip. You've got to exit all the way out of StreamYard. Like you got to close out every app on your phone and exit out of it and then rejoin it. We can't hear you at all. Like nothing. That's not exiting out. You're still the same. Like you got to close out everything and hang up. Like keeps hanging up the phone on me. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Hey, just turn your phone off like you did that one day. Turn it off, turn it back on, and then reconnect to the link. That's the best way.
I think I heard him.
It's through my phone.
Oh,
Turn your phone off. We go through this. We go through this quite a bit. So,
how many listeners do you have?
right now we have 32 big listeners on here.
Oh, good.
We'll typically have anywhere between, depending, we'll have anywhere in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and then, you know, if you ask Manny the Weasel Valverde, the Seymour legend as well, he thinks his show he was on is the highest rated show ever. But we'll probably have 500 to 1,500 watch eventually.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Like I said, depending. If it's just me and Rip on a normal day, usually 500. We'll eventually watch it. So,
all right.
and we got our loyal listeners here in the chat, same people that are on pretty much every week, and they ask Rip questions and our guest questions, and they're not going to be real familiar with you, I'm sure, but they can always chime in and ask some questions. Typically, we have wrestling people on here.
Okay.
Which is also what I really wanted to get to. Did you ever follow any wrestling with Rip, Mark, as you know him as, after he left Seymour? Like, did you know that he was in to professional wrestling? Did you ever watch him on TV? Did you ever follow him after he left Seymour?
I knew that he was in professional wrestling, but I never did watch it.
Never watched him at all, huh? Never thought, man, I played in high school with that guy. I got to tune in and watch this.
I know. I just didn't have an interest in wrestling at all. So it wasn't Mark or Rip. It wasn't him. I liked the guy a lot, but I just didn't have an interest in it.
So what was your guys' like? I mean, in high school. So I got another person to bring in. Hey, Rip, you're on now, buddy.
Well, I can't see.
You can't see. We can see you.
Well, I can't see you guys.
Well, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you and see you. So
Oh,
that's two good things.
okay.
I was just getting ready to ask Barron about what he thought about you in high school, how you guys got along. Did you ever hang out? Did you know each other very well? I know you were a year apart.
We were a
Okay.
year apart. Mark and I were friends. He was a hell of a football player, and we played well together on that football team. I remember he scored one touchdown when I was a senior, and that was against, I think it was at Jeffersonville, wasn't it, Mark? Or Rip?
Hell, I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, come on. You know who it was against.
No, I can't remember.
Hmm.
But anyway, well, have you? What sport are you on right now? Let me tell you how good he was. What sport are you on?
We're not on any sport. I was talking about his brothers and if he watched
Oh, okay.
wrestling and never watched you. And then I was asking about your high school teams right now.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. You can read your paper plate. Go ahead. And
No,
tell.
when Barron was playing football, he got 40 points in one game.
44.
That was a 44. Okay, that
Yeah.
was that was a school record.
Yes.
And then hell, I only weighed. God, if I'd have been held back, if I'd have done the Walt Winton rule, I'd have been 200-pound senior running back linebacker. I should have been held back due to athletic purposes, but I wasn't. But Barron was usually I was the decoy because I wasn't worth a shit, and Barron always got to run to the right because he was 10 times better. So I was the old decoy with this that. But Barron never left the field because he was there as a safety, or he was there as a running back. He punted. Is there anything he didn't do? He was on the field the whole game. But that's the norm when you're just being a hill. So.
Well, that's the way we played the game back in those days, Rip.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
So
good.
44 points. What would that? Obviously, that's not divisible by 6. How did you come up with? How did you get 44?
Oh my goodness! There was both passing, receiving passes, and rushing, and I think there may be couple extra points in there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But I got it written down here. But I had 40. But that was most of the stuff I do everything by memory. So
Mike Russell had the record. I remember that. Remember Mike Russell?
Oh, Truck. Yeah. I played
Yep.
softball with him when he's on the Seymour Merchants.
He was a heck of a football player, and he had the record.
Yeah.
I got a chance to break it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you still have the rushing record? Did Michael Batts break your rushing record?
He did.
That's what I thought. So Batts was in my class. He was my age. He was pretty good. He always got a lot of comparisons to you, but I couldn't remember if it was a single. I thought it was something, but I couldn't remember if it was career or a single season.
He owns the career. I have the single.
Is that right?
I'm second or third on the career now.
Okay.
Man.
Hey, I remember the first day Joe Szymanski had practice.
Yep.
And here's Barron and Stan Schreier, Beamish, and Rick Mouse, and you guys had been partying somewhere or whatever. I remember you guys was dying that first day. And I'd been like a little nerd running my 40s to the best of my ability and training all summer. And you guys come in, and I remember you guys looked like death warmed over. And I said, "Oh my God, these are the best athletes we got." I didn't realize.
That was we stayed all night somewhere. I remember that. I won't go into all the details of what we did, but we were hurting the next day. That's for sure.
I mean, that stuck out in my mind. I said, "Man, if these guys are like this, oh my God, I ain't got a chance." but that was just really, really funny.
There was another person I wanted to add to the mix. I don't know if you can see this picture at all very well.
Yep.
But there's 3 people in the front row. I can't remember the numbers. I think, is that you on the or 41, Rip? Is that you?
Yeah, I'm 41. Barron's always 32. I didn't get 32 till after Barron graduated. Then I grabbed that son of a bitch. I wanted 32. Everybody wanted to be Jim Brown or Jim Taylor, and that was the most famous number. But there's old John Mellencamp, number 24 there, in the first row, sitting between Stiffy Owens and Mike Sense.
Yep.
So, and then there's old Joe Saminsky on the side, John Britton on the right, on the second row. So that was the Seymour Owls right there.
So Barron Hill, John Mellencamp, and Rip Rogers all in the same front row of a high school football picture.
I'll gladly take third place. I'll gladly take the silver medal with those guys. Hell yeah.
Is it true Mellencamp got kicked off that team?
No.
I don't recall him being kicked off. I think he just quit.
I always heard he got kicked off because he came to practice with like cigarettes rolled up in his sleeve or something.
Well, that was the norm for John. That was like a rib.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyway.
Do you have any Mellencamp stories?
Well, not that would be of interest to anybody, I don't think. John and I went to church together. We went to the Nazarene Church in Seymour together.
Wow.
I knew his grandparents very well, Speck and his grandmother. I know his dad pretty well. His dad's like almost 90 years old, I think now, ain't he, Rip?
I think he's still running around, probably dating a couple teenage girls, but we won't say nothing about that.
He's an amazing guy, actually.
Yeah,
He still lives out there on that hill.
Yeah, Richard was on fire out there, baby.
Leaving town. I think he's got a driver. I think he has somebody that drives him around, and I think he still gets out and about quite a bit from what I've been told anyway.
But the real performer in that Mellencamp family, I mean, I give John all the credit. He's become a superstar. But Joe, his brother, was really a better singer than John was.
Right, but you're right. I remember that when he was singing.
Yeah.
So here's another one. Like, did you guys see that coming? Like, did you know in high school, oh, this guy's going to be a star, or did it surprise you? Or
it surprised me. I don't know about Rip, but it surprised me.
Did it?
I remember one time I was with Rick Mouse and Stan Schreier. This was after we'd graduated from high school, and John came over to Rick's house with us and was telling us that he was going to be recording a record, and we didn't think it would amount to much, but actually the record took off. I forget the name of the record, but that
Chestnut Street
me.
Incident.
That's it. You got it. Good memory.
Yeah, I can't remember where I'm at now, but okay.
Man,
Barron,
wow.
Can
Yes.
you remember the greatest high school basketball game that Commissioner Phil Eskew said there was? It was Seymour versus Scottsburg when they were undefeated, and they had Bill James, who averaged about 36 points a game. And then at the end of the game, in regulation, somebody got fouled. He was a sophomore. He was about 5'9" and 9.5, and he hit 2 free throws. And I was pushing the brooms, and they offered me $50 for that game to get in, but I wouldn't do it. But you made 2 free throws. I can't remember if it was no time, 2 seconds, or whatever the hell. We lost in overtime, but Commissioner Phil Eskew said it was the greatest high school basketball game.
Well, stop and think about that game for a minute. The score was 100-98 with no time on the clock. Time had expired. And yes, I hit the 2 free throws to tie the game up at 100-100.
Right.
And then we lost in overtime.
Yeah, it was, but then what was like 110-104 or something like that.
Yes. And
But
Bill James in that game scored 48 points in that game.
Can you remember the other starters on their team?
Murphy.
Yep.
Buzzy Kelly.
Rick Stoltz.
And James's brother.
Yeah.
James. What was his first name?
Bob
James. Yes.
Yeah. Bill and Bob James. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I had to say it because I said, if not, I gotta throw it in there, and I might forget what I was even talking about at any second. We know that.
I got to tell you another story about that game. Jim Barley was the basketball coach.
Oh,
he was a very colorful guy.
Greatest heel basketball coach ever that I ever seen. He knew how to get heat. Everybody hated him. That was when that was when Mike Spector did the thing with throwing the thing and getting in trouble, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, I was at the free throw line, and during that game, the score was 100-98, and he's yelling at me. He's going, heel, heel. And I looked over at him, and he's giving the choke sign. He says, "You're going to choke. You're going to choke." You know, I'm a 16-year-old kid,
Yeah.
and this man is intimidating me. But I went ahead and
Exactly.
made the free throws anyway.
That was the coach doing that to you?
Yes.
The coach, yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Jim Barley. He was the most loved in Scottsburg and the most hated in Southern Indiana. He was awesome.
He was. There we are.
I think this is 69-70 maybe, or this was your
Yeah.
junior year, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found a bunch of stuff. Most of it was from your junior year. It looked like you went to the semi-state finals and lost to Lagodi. Was that your undefeated season, right?
It was. We were undefeated that year, and we got upset by Lagodi in the final game in the semi-state. At the game, we were number 2 in the state that year, and East Chicago Roosevelt was number 1. They were
Yep.
undefeated as well. If we would have won all the games in the tournament, we would have played them in the final game, 2 undefeated teams.
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
who did they end up playing? Was it Lagodi then, or
Lagodi got beat by, I think, Carmel or somebody in the first game of the state championship.
that was back probably when it was Final Four, wasn't it? Like four
Yeah.
teams went.
Yeah.
And then I had
There I am.
found some.
Where'd you find all these pictures?
Oh, it's the internet, man. It's a crazy thing out there.
Oh.
It's the internet. It's starting to catch on. Just search. You never searched your own name before.
I have, as a matter of fact.
There was some good. Tribune had a really good article on the looking back at a dream season and oral history of Seymour boys basketball 69-70 campaign. Have you ever read that article before?
I have read that article, yes.
Yeah, that was really good. So I got a lot of stuff from there, and it had, if you look through all the pictures, it had the stats from that year too. Here was the roster, which I'd heard of pretty much everybody on this roster, either through my parents or Rip, one of the two. This was again your junior year here.
Yeah,
So
Rick
was it
Mouse
Grow
is
the
on that list. He made the Indiana All-Stars after that senior year.
Yeah, I think it said he averaged like 19 and 15 that year or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty incredible. And wasn't Grow the one that played for the against the Globetrotters?
Yeah. Richard's not with us anymore. He died several years ago, but yeah, he went on to play for the Globetrotters. Richard was an interesting guy when he was younger, like in the 7th grade. He wasn't very tall, but from the 7th grade to the 9th grade, he grew like 10 inches. He was 6'6" and became one heck of a basketball player.
Yeah, he averaged 17.8 rebounds a game.
He did.
And he got 30 in. Then his senior year, when you guys was gone, he had a great season. But we had got Luke Wren come in, so we had 2 guys averaging 20 points a game, or he would have been so good. The doctor.
Yep.
Yeah, it had some good quotes in that article. Some about you here, Mark Imkes. Said Grow was definitely shy. Hill was not. So I guess he said you were not a shy person on that starting crew. The 2 who would speak up the most were Mouse at first, then Hill would be a close second.
Yeah.
Barron was a true star, not only tremendous speed, but also great ball handling and a great shot. Stan Shire says Barron's probably the fastest point guard in Seymour history. I was only a step slower than him. In football practice, we'd run a 50-yard dash. He had always beat me by this much, just barely. Is there any truth to that? Did you just barely beat Stan Shire in a race?
Not a bit of truth to it. I whopped him every time.
You know what's funny is Beamish was a 4-year letterman in baseball, and he was a 4-year letterman in basketball. And that's just you. Your junior year when they had Danny Deputy, you know what I mean? Because he played at the Coast Guard, then Mouse played at South Carolina, and then Beamish played at LSU New Orleans, and then the next year Max and then Chicken Man played at Northwood, right?
He did.
And the next year, Stiffy and Max Seifker played at Northwood, and then you were there. Of course, you went on and signed with Furman, because I was there when Joe Williams come to school, and
Oh, you were?
And I was out in the parking lot. I said, "That's Joe Williams," and I knew Joe Williams because he had coached Jacksonville with Artis
Artis
Gilmore.
Gilmore.
Pembroke Burrows the third and Rod McIntyre. They had the 7-foot front line, and I said, "Man, I can't believe it. There's Joe Williams coming to Seymour High School." So he lured Barron, and he probably gave him like $3-4 million, is what I was thinking.
That's what today's players get. We didn't get that kind of money back in those days.
Well, you probably got at least a couple $100,000, Big Joe had all that money,
So in high school, you were All-State. Now, some said you were All-American. Did they have All-Americans?
I was 15 All-American on Parade Magazine.
Is that right? Wow, that's impressive. And then you did go on to play at Furman. How heavily recruited were you out of high school? Rip just mentioned a coach coming to see you. Was any other coaches you had encounters with? Who else recruited you then?
How about Bobby Knight?
Yeah, that's good.
And then Joe Hall down in Kentucky at the time.
Joe B. Hall, yeah.
Yeah. Johnny Wooden.
Wow.
With UCLA. So I could have played anywhere. But I went to Furman because of Joe Williams. He had coached Jacksonville to the Final Four, and he was trying to build a team like he had at Jacksonville. They had a point guard at Jacksonville by the name of Von Weddingking.
Von Weddingking, and he was from Evansville.
He was, and I was kind of like a player like him, and so I thought it would have been a good fit. And when I went to Furman, when you're in high school, I was a dominant player, but when you're in college, everybody's a dominant player. So, it took me a little while to find my groove. And in my sophomore year, we couldn't play freshman basketball back in those days on the varsity. But my sophomore year, I was in the second half of the season, I was averaging about 15 points a game. Finally, I was finally getting there. And then I busted my knee playing against Syracuse in the Eastern Regionals of the tournament. And after that, I tore my ACL, and I was never the same player after that.
Right.
Really? Wow, I didn't. Okay, so you were in the NCAA tournament you're talking about?
Yes.
Oh wow, awesome.
We were playing against Syracuse against Philadelphia, and in Philadelphia, I should say. And I remember a couple things that had never happened to me before, and I didn't do anything unusual. I just came down normal, but my knee went out. And then so the doctor looked at it at halftime and said, "I think you're okay if you want to start playing again." I stole the ball in the second half and went up for a layup and came down on it. And boy, the pain was excruciating. So later on, after the game, we were actually winning the game at that particular time and ended up losing by just a couple points. And when we went back to the hotel, I got on the elevator and Muhammad Ali walks in on the elevator and says, "What in the world has happened to you, young man?" And it was a kind of a highlight.
Wow. That's awesome. So who were some of the top people you played against?
In college?
Yeah. Any names? I mean, there's got to be names, but
David Thompson was an awesome basketball player for North Carolina State. He was awesome.
Yeah. Heard of him.
He's the top of the list. I think he averaged close to 30 points a game for NC State, and he was the reason why NC State won the national championship that year. When I think I was a junior, maybe a senior. I can't remember when.
He was Jordan before Jordan.
Yes. Did you follow his career at Furman, Rip?
No, because there was no cable TV. There was no internet or nothing, right? And that would be it. There might be a score when they'd list every collegiate score, like on certain days and stuff like that. And all I got was Indianapolis Star or the Courier Journal from Louisville. And that was all Southern Indiana stuff. the Courier Journal was on that edition. It was just a different day. Now everybody knows everything, and then back in those days, it was like a secret. Somebody come home, hey, well, how was your season? You didn't know anything. It was just a lot of secrecy. Not a lot of secrecy. We just didn't have the technology.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's all
I
right.
agree with that.
He didn't follow your wrestling career either, so it's all right. Don't worry about him.
Well, hey, the greatest day in track I ever saw was the day Barron. Can't remember if it was a regional or what, but this was in the Cinders. This is his junior year. He does 9.5 in the Cinders. Then he runs 2:20, and it's either 21.3 or 21.4. I couldn't remember.
21-4.
Okay, but in the relay, you got that baton. We were way behind, and you took off, and you just started passing people like they were. We didn't get first or anything, but I was just watching you just pass all these guys like it was in slow motion. And I said, I think this is one of those days that's going to be, because before you never even come close to 9.5 in your life. Then all of a sudden the competition, you're in shape. You're just right there. And you was a man among boys on that day. And I said, damn.
There was a
And
guy
it's amazing.
there.
It's amazing that I could remember it like that. Because that was
What?
1970.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy in that regional track meet by the name of Roger Powell. He was from Terre Haute, Gerstmeyer. And he was a fast runner. And they asked him, had he ever heard of me, who he was going to run against in the regional?
Yeah.
He says, I don't remember anybody until I beat them.
Ooh.
And it kind of pissed me off. So I beat him by at least a yard in that track meet.
Wow.
I remember the story how you got third in the state 3 years in a row in a 100-yard dash, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I remember the first one. I said, okay. Now the second one, when let's just say, at least according to you at the time, you didn't really. You were up a little bit later, and then whatever.
The prom was that night.
Yes. Okay. I didn't want to say it, but I'll let you say it. Okay. But then your senior year, you went to bed early. You did everything right, and you still got third.
Yeah.
But
I actually should have won it to my junior year because I had set the state record in the 100-yard dash in the regional track meet the week before, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that I beat then, he actually beat me in the state finals a week later. But the real reason why it wasn't the prom that I lost that race, but the track in Indianapolis was not cinders. It was whatever they make it.
Was it tartan?
Yes.
Okay.
And I had the cinder spikes on my
That's
in
right.
my track shoes.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
And that I think that just slowed me down enough to have me lose the race. So there's the real reason.
Well, you'd have lost confidence. It was everything. You got to have that feel.
You do.
Man, I'm going back to 19. I'm just going back to being a teenager again, being a big mark, watching all these guys and everything.
I got a coach story. I asked you about college coaches recruiting you. I was in Los Angeles years ago, and I was listening to Dale Brown speak, who was the old LSU basketball coach. And when I was in high school, or not in high school, when I was a kid, when Brian Fish, you remember Brian Fish?
Yeah.
Brian Fish was heavily recruited out of Seymour High School. And I remember, and I lived right down the road. Eric Fish was my age. And I remember Dale Brown came to town, and he was going to be at the Fish's house for a meeting. So I kept riding my bike up and down the street trying to see Dale Brown either come into the house or out of the house. Fast forward, I saw him in L.A., and I tell him the story, and he said, "Oh, Brian Fish, Seymour, Indiana, Seymour." He boom, just spit it right out at me.
Wow.
I was like, to me, and this was probably about 10 years ago. So it's been, however many 30, 40 years since he had been in Seymour recruiting Brian Fish. He's 6'5" white guy, described him to a T, knew the city, spelled it, everything. I was like, pretty impressive. I was very impressed.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an interesting story.
That was I never got those coaches, but I did ride up my bike up and down trying to meet Dale Brown that way though.
Hey, what was funny before cable and the internet and stuff, it'd be like IU every year. It would be one guy from Ohio, one guy from Illinois, maybe one guy from Kentucky, and everybody else was from Indiana.
Yep.
And then now, I don't know if they have anybody from Indiana.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of Indiana, people in the chat want to know your guys' opinion on the IU football team this year. If IU is going to win it all this year.
I can tell you, I think IU is going to win that game. I think they're a better football team than Ohio State.
It's tomorrow night, Rip.
Well, the way I look at it is, right now IU's got the world's greatest coach. I look at it as two great teams, but I'm looking at Ohio State as having their first three. If a guard gets hurt, 3 left guards get hurt, they got 3 more left guards on the side that are all 6'5", 300 pounds. And I look for Indiana to stay with them the first half. And then I just like the law of attrition or whatever you call it. Just, it's going to happen. Of course, I'm for IU, but realistically, if I was a betting man, or if I had a lot of money to blow, but anyway, I don't think they're going to win. But
Dang, Rip.
Well, no,
Can't believe you're saying that right now.
Well, my favorite IU team, we used to be with John Pond as coach, and Eisenbarger and Harry Gonzo and Jade Butcher. That was my favorite IU team. And this is my favorite IU team now. But then again, I don't really like college football now with that NIL stuff. I just don't like it. It doesn't matter what I like. So if you can make millions of dollars more than a regular job and be set when you're 21 getting out of college, more power to you. But anyway, I'm for IU. I hope they win. But in the back of my mind, I don't think they are. So I just can't lie about it. I hope they win, though. Then you can go, nah, you're wrong. Okay, I'll take that.
Sticking with Barron on this one. He says IU.
Well, IU's got one heck of a quarterback.
Yep.
But sometimes people forget about their running backs. They've got speed like no other college basketball team in the country. And their receivers are the same way. Now, Ohio State may be a little bit better defensively, but not by much. And with IU's running power and their quarterback, I just see them winning.
Well, I hope they do. Well, anyway, questions.
I'm gonna transition to. We've done a show on here before, Barron. The most famous people to come out of Seymour, Indiana. So me and Rip made a list, and then we talked about them and all that kind of stuff. You were on that list. Have you ever kept up with or thought about the people that have come out of Seymour that have went on to, I mean, really worldwide fame, at least United States fame? Could you come up with a list?
Well, John Mellencamp tops the list, of course. He's the most famous person. And I don't remember her first name, but Miss America.
Katie Stam.
Yeah.
What's her first name?
Katie
Stam. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank here. The doctor's son who went on to play in the Olympics.
Pat Calhoun. Pat Calhoun was in the Olympics.
Calhoun is a swimmer. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a heck of an athlete.
He's on the list.
That's all I can think of right off the top of my head.
Rip Rogers, actually, if you Google it.
Well, yeah, you got Rip.
I will list Rip.
I'm sorry, Rip is a famous guy from Seymour. Ain't no question about it. While I did not follow his wrestling career, I was always impressed with it, and it's something he should be proud of. I know he's proud of it.
What about George Green? Do you know George Green?
I remember George Green and I were good friends. He wrote songs for John Mellencamp. He's passed away. He's not with us anymore. But yeah, I remember George. George was a very good songwriter. As a
He
matter of
said he
fact,
wrote songs for Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton as well.
he did.
I wasn't aware of that. Have you watched? Did you watch the Country Music Awards? You know anything about Stephen Wilson Jr. that's been setting the nation on fire with his new music?
I'm unaware of him.
He's from Seymour. So Steve Wilson. Do you remember Steve Wilson, Rip? He was the Golden Gloves boxer.
Yeah, yeah. You go out to the you go up like you're going to Crothersville on 30. You take the back way and you go right by his old house. But he was a boxer, yeah.
So Steve Wilson, the dad, was a boxer. He passed away. Stephen Wilson Jr. is now he's 46 years old. I think he graduated with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he just played at the CMAs, the Country Music Awards, and he was up for the newcomer of the year at 46. So he was also a boxer like his dad. Then he went and became a scientist, and he worked for Mars, the candy bar company. And then he just quit it all and moved to Nashville and started writing songs. Quit his 6-figure job. Everybody told him he was dumb. He said that he wanted to get into country music, and now he's one of the hottest acts out there right now. So
Good for him.
Another Seymour legend. What about 2 Foot Fred? You know 2 Foot Fred at all?
I don't know.
Brothers.
Who?
Freddie and Toby Gill.
Oh yes.
We had 2 Foot Fred on this show one day. That was very interesting.
You did.
Yeah. He traveled around with Big and Rich for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Another country act. And then I think the last one, we had Danny Basham, which was Danny Holly, which a couple years younger than me. He was also a WWE wrestler. And then one of them that really is from his voice is Rob Weedoff. So Rob was the voice of John Marston, I think it is, from Red Dead Redemption, one of those video games.
Yeah.
And he's gotten very, very famous, I guess, in that community through that. So been a lot of them out there. I think it's pretty wild. A town as small as Seymour has so many people that have become famous, quote unquote. So I also read something about the top athletes who were also politicians, and you made that list. It was like a top 25 of all time politicians who are athletes, and you were like number 25 on the list.
Oh, really?
I thought that was pretty wild. Yeah.
Huh.
That was in with like NBA players and NFL players and all kinds of people. And you were 25 on that.
Okay. Well, John Thune is the majority leader now for the Republican Party in Congress. Was a good athlete. As a matter of fact, I've played some basketball with him when I was in Congress. He's the majority leader now, and I think he went on to play for LSU or somebody like that in college. He was a good player too.
I didn't know him. Rip, what else you got on the paper plate?
No, everything's on the paper plate. I'm just going along with stuff that I was just thinking about. Just like Barron used to live over there behind St. Ambrose. What was you two houses from RB, Randy Brown?
Yep.
And then we played football over there at the when you go out your front door and you go catty corner to your left, there's that church there was
Methodist church.
Yeah, the Methodist church there, and they had that great side thing.
The football field.
Yeah, you could play football field there. And then we walked in. I'd leave RB's house, and we play back. RB had the 8.5-foot goal on his garage there. And then we go over to BJ's Lucky Lane. We'd be playing pinball, eating all that junk food there. Then we go to boys club, and the boys club was where everybody was at. And then I would be hanging out with Larry Butler and the Bookers, Ronnie Booker and Fred Booker, playing basketball with them, acting like I was old. And I'd have them little fake cigars or cigarettes, the candy cigarettes, so I could smoke like them. But growing up at the boys club was where it's at, man.
Mr. C.
Oh, yeah, Harry, Clarence, Cherry. I went there. We always go to the IU football games, and Harry, Clarence, Cherry. We get on them, and him and Cloyce Jackson. So it didn't get any better than that.
Cloyce
Such great-
Jackson and Mr. C were big influencers. I had a major influence on my life. I can tell you that. I bet they did for you too, Rip.
I think they did with everybody.
Yep.
How many times do you get the knuckles in the head from C?
All the time. All the time.
Oh,
I remember one time I went to work behind the counter there at the boys club. And I'd been working there for several months.
Was you getting 85 cents an hour then?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Was Mary Bowes, Henry Bowes' sister, was she the secretary then?
Yeah, she was.
Okay.
And anyway, one day I came in about 15 minutes late and Mr. C fired me on the spot.
Oh.
I'll never forget that. It was a lesson learned. A lesson learned, never to be late.
Well, you had that long trip. You had to, you could have ran
the railroad tracks.
Yeah. Well, there was a train coming. You couldn't help it. And it stalled on the track and I was stuck there for how late were you?
15 minutes late.
Oh, 17 minutes that train was stuck right there. And
there you go.
You didn't want to go under it. You didn't want to go over it.
There you go.
If so, Jan Linskow, he would have stooged on you anyway.
Was Barney Scott your basketball coach?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Barney.
Barney was one heck of a basketball coach. He was a good player. He played for Jeffersonville when he was in high school, and I think he went on to play at Hanover College.
Yep.
Barney was there for about 6 years before I started playing, but a huge influence on my life. A great man, a great family. His daughter, Alice, is married to John Laskowski, who played basketball for IU.
He's on the All-Star team with him.
Yeah. Well, no, John never made the All-Star team.
Okay. Okay.
And he always, every time I see him, and which is not often, but every time I see him, he says, I remember when you got to play on the All-Star team, but I didn't. He reminds me all the time. But he wanted to have an illustrious collegiate career with IU and then went on to play professional basketball. But anyway, in answer to your question, Clint, Barney was a huge influence on my life and a great man and a great basketball coach.
Nice.
By the way, before I forget it, my daughter Jenny says hi, Clint.
Oh yeah. Hi. I sent out I was gonna be doing this. So
yeah.
That's good. I'm sure she's tuned in watching, right?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Rip, tell that softball story you were talking about when we were trying to get Barron on here in the beginning.
Oh, when Bode played for the Truckers, and I was a bat boy, and Bode made an out. And
Bode is Barron's brother, just for people watching.
Yeah, and Bode is probably one of the most scary individuals as a little kid. He scared me to death. And he threw his bat a little bit hard. It hit me in the foot. And I'm like a little pussy. And I'm about ready to start crying and everything. Bode come down and he squeezed my foot and everything and made it better. And I felt good. So Bode went from like the bad guy to he was even better. Because Bode would be playing my dad, Bode Hill, Buddy Ted, all the guys, Tom, they'd all be playing poker. I used to live years ago. I lived next to Chris Moritz, so I worked for the city. So I worked for the garbage. I worked for the sewer. I worked park and recreation. Anyway, there was 4 jobs for the summertime. It'd always be me, Grow, and Kerry Hammett, and Tim Hinkle. We'd get jobs, and we never did. We usually just slept in the things all day, but we did the best we could almost. But but anyway, the mayor would be playing cards with my dad every Friday night. So that was always a plus. I got to hang out and listen to the guys, look around and see if mom was in there. If not, they'd tell some slinky stories. But my ears opened up, so what the hell, right?
Hey, we got a super chat question out there. $2 super chat from Frank's Pickle Barrel asks, wants to know who the hottest girl in Seymour 1972 was.
72. Oh,
Yeah. So we can go with more. When did you graduate, Rip? 71?
no, I was 72.
Oh, 72. Okay. Well, go 72 then.
Oh no, I'm not going to say that.
Oh, come on.
Well,
Look at Barron. I can tell Barron's itching to say somebody.
well, he can't say
His
nothing.
face is turning red a little bit.
He can't say nothing. He's not allowed to. I just know when the last exit was happening, Barron would be out there on the store. He'd be leading the troops out there. He was used to performing. He was used to being in front of people.
Was Barron a ladies' man in high school, Rip?
Well, as far as I know, the only girl I ever knew he was with is a woman he's married to now.
Good answer, Rip.
Jim Shepman's sister, and
Yep.
the father was Harry Shepman was on the school board.
Yep.
So, but no dirt on the Baron, you know.
I'll tell you a story about my wife, Betty.
Uh-oh, here we go.
We started dating in high school, and my mother saw that I was really enamored with Betty.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, Baron, please wait until you're at least 19 years old to marry this girl.
Oh, wow.
So I got a basketball scholarship to go to Furman University, and Betty went with me. And we came home that first summer after college. And on June the 23rd, 1972, I turned 19 years of age.
Wow.
And the next day I married Betty.
Holy cow.
And we've been married for 53 years.
I was going to say, I was trying to add 28, 53 years. I said, man.
53 years.
Oh,
Man, what a story that is.
yeah.
True story.
Man, no dirt there, I guess, huh, Rip?
No, even though I was trying to check the mud on my cleats and whatever, but no dirt on no dirt on Barron. He covered his tracks right.
There's
Give
no
us
dirt on you either, Rip.
Yeah, give us something on Rip in
my-
high school. Come on. We got somebody on here that actually went to high school with the hustler Rip Rogers. You gotta have something. You gotta have some kind of story, some kind of.
Mm-mm. I wasn't in the up. No.
I'm not asking you, Rip. I'm asking him.
Okay.
There's no dirt on Rip that I'm aware of. There, if it is, it's a secret, and we'll just keep it that way.
Well, he's told a lot of it on this show. If you just go back to the last however many episodes and watch, he'll tell on himself more times than not. So,
Rip, are you still lifting weights?
Well,
yeah, tell
I
him.
haven't trained since yesterday. I went 5 hours.
All right. You're still getting plenty of exercise, I hope.
Well, let's see. I walk 2 hours every day. I ride the bike at least 3 hours a day. Then I'm doing the 2 hours of weights. Lighter. I have no strength at all because I'm old. I look a whole lot better than I am. I don't think if I fall down, I can't get up.
I know that feeling.
Give him the bicep pose, Rip. Come on.
Let me see. Oh, you can't see it on here anyway. Let me see.
You gotta move it. You gotta move it.
Well, let me see. I'll move that. Can you see? Wait a minute.
Oh, you still got one there, buddy.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
And he's got
What
the
are you,
Boys Club shirt
71?
on.
Yeah. I wore the Seymour Boys Club T-shirt on there, but you can't see it.
Yeah,
Well,
you
we
still
can-
got some muscle.
Yeah. He said, what are you? Are you 71 or 72, Rip? 71, right?
Yeah, I'm 71.
72 in February-ish.
Yeah, February 7th, day after Babe Ruth's birthday, I'll be 72 if I make it. If not, I'm busy having a half-assed good time, reliving childhood memories, stuff popping in my head that I hadn't thought about. But most of the stuff I can't remember anyway. So when Barron come on here with a beard, I said, holy shit. He's got a beard. All right.
Well, I don't know if you heard this. I was telling Clint that my 9-year-old granddaughter always wants me to grow a beard for Christmas.
Yeah.
And so I always grow it for Christmas, and then I shave it off right after that.
Yeah. Yeah. When I shave, next time I shave, man, as a matter of fact, I might shave it on one of our podcasts. Maybe we can make millions of dollars for that.
Let's try it. Let's do it.
Oh, okay.
We got a couple more things. We'll let you get off here. Who were some of you guys can both kind of answer this? Who else was some other guys like in high school that you thought were really good athletes? I mean, we talked about some of the people already on the basketball team, but some other good athletes that you guys either played with or played against or have any stories on back in the late 60s or early 70s from
Danny
Seymour,
Thomas.
or could be anybody, that you played against too in Indiana.
Danny Thomas played with my brother Bo on a 1956 Seymour High School basketball team, and he was one heck of a basketball player.
So that would have been senior, right? Danny Senior?
Danny Senior, yes. And his son, Danny Jr., was a good player too. A very good player.
Danny Senior, he had the 100-yard dash record at 9.9 for years.
Yep.
And then he didn't even play basketball his senior year.
That's true. He would have. I mean, I've got the scoring record now, but Danny would have had the scoring record had he played his senior year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He was just he was just a freak. He was just so good.
Speaking of scoring leaders, if this is accurate, Brian Fish, who I talked about a little bit ago, number 2. Andy Denny, my old 8th grade basketball coach. Danny Thomas Jr. there.
Yep.
Jay Thomas, which was another brother. I played with Jason Thomas. He was 2 years younger than me.
Yeah, Jay Thomas won state long jump champ.
He did.
Yeah, and then Danny, he was shooting 25, 28 footers. Of course, there was no 3-point line. But old Lank, he had that. He wasn't. At one time, he was his junior year. He was in the top 10 in the nation at Hardin-Simmons University for scoring.
I'll tell you another player that was really good in basketball was Larry Shade.
Oh, that's who I played softball with.
Yeah,
and he was
the
most humble person I'd ever met in my life.
Yeah, he was on. Let's see, I think it was Bill Russell or somebody. I forget. It was a professional basketball player. It was on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and they asked him who was the best basketball player that he ever played against, and he said Larry Shade.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, Larry Shade was my hero when I was a kid. He played in the 1963. I think he was a senior in 1963, and he was one heck of a basketball player. He went on to play for Butler University.
Yep. He went. I was in the 6th grade championship at St. Ambrose. I got out of there. My dad and buddy Ted took me to Butler University. We went to Larry Shade's last home basketball game. And they introduced him and stuff. And he was he played baseball at Butler, and then he played basketball at Butler. And he was just so unselfish. And then he always roomed with Larry Cooper. And and let's just say I bet they had some good times together. Put it that way.
I bet they did too.
So I got this picture pulled up. So the high school gym, it's always held like around 8,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, I scored the first 2 points in that gym.
That's when it opened?
Yes.
1971.
Against Mitchell.
Wow.
Against Mitchell, top of the key, Barron Hill, boom.
Yep.
You got the first 2 in that gym?
After 3 seconds of the game had expired, and I hit the first shot in there.
Yeah, it was right from the spot, right at the top of the key.
Yep. You remember that, Rip?
Well, how in the hell would I remember it unless I just told you? God damn, I was there. I think that's the first time I cussed on this one.
Oh, that's funny.
So tell the people who are not from Indiana that are listening or watching right now, like what it's like to play a high school basketball game in Indiana with 8,000 people in the gym.
It was an amazing feeling. I tell you, when you're 16, 17 years old and you got a packed house every single night, the whole town turns out for the, sectional and the regional and semi-state, state championship. The town would go crazy. We'd have parades. And it was just an unbelievable experience to play basketball in those days. Unbelievable experience. Something I'll never forget.
Yeah, I remember even when I was playing in the sectional finals in 92 against Brownstown, I just remember being on the court. It was almost halftime and looking up, and all the Brownstown fans started like standing up because the clock was running down before half. And then all the Seymour fans started standing up. And then the whole place was just cheering at the same time. And it was packed in too with Seymour Brown. And I was just like, man, I just stood there and watched during the game. I was like, this is awesome.
It was an amazing thing.
I'm getting cold chills just talking about it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Hey, one last thing I read. You are in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Did you go in with Larry Bird?
I did.
So how was that? Was that an actual, like, I remember my sister went in, they had a banquet and all that kind of stuff. Were you guys actually there together, being inducted together?
Well, Larry Bird was a no-show.
Oh, was he?
But he was inducted at the same year. Yeah.
But he didn't go, huh?
He didn't go.
Man. So when Larry Bird retired from the NBA, I was playing college baseball at IU Southeast. Larry Bird's catcher my catcher used to mow Larry Bird's grass.
No, really?
Take care of his property. So our catcher actually missed the game because Bird flew him to his retirement game at the Boston Garden when they hung the deal, and he did the speech and everything. And you can actually see, Sports Illustrated had a big picture. You could actually see his head right there in the middle of the front row picture, the guy that caught with us. So his name was Troy Pritchard. So I ran into Larry Bird at a bar up here, I don't know, 10 years ago. And he's just sitting in a booth with another guy. And I was like, man, I told my girlfriend, my wife now, I said, that's Larry Bird right there. And she's like, who? I said, Larry Bird. She's a lot younger than me. So I was like, I gotta talk to him, but I don't want to just go up and, hey, So I sat down and I said, Troy Pritchard used to mow your grass. He was my catcher in college. He's like, oh, I love Troy. And then he just started talking. So I talked to him. I didn't overstay my welcome, but he just opened up. He was drinking Budweisers and smoking Marlboro Reds and talked a lot about Troy Pritchard that night. So that made my night. That was a highlight.
Wow.
Well, I can understand why, Clint.
Yeah, Larry was awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, when Larry Bird was in high school, I was in college, and I drove back because they played Brownstown. And so I was there at the Brownstown game watching Larry Bird when he was in high school just to see him, because I'd read all the press about him, and because Ron Honor, who used to be a manager on the basketball team there in Seymour, he went to Oakland City College, and Larry Bird's brother Mark Bird went to Oakland City, so he queued me up on him. So then when I went to UIndy, Larry Bird played for about 2 weeks at Northwood Institute, and they played our JV in the basketball team. Now, he had a big old gut. He had hair down to his shoulders. He waddled up and down the court, and he was better than anybody there without even practicing. He stayed about 2 weeks, and that was when he quit, and then went to the garbage thing, and then went back to Indiana State, and the rest was history. So anyway, that's about it. So what the hell, right?
All right, Baron, you got anything? You got any questions? You got any comments? You got anything to plug? You got anything to plug on here today?
Well, I'm just thankful that you've invited me on your show. I've had a lot of fun with it. Let's do it again sometime.
That'd be awesome. We haven't even talked about your senior year. You're 23-1. which we don't want. We can save that till next time.
Well, you can
Okay.
say it now. All right. It doesn't matter.
Oh no, that was the oh, what a game to
Floyd Central.
that's it.
We were
I
up
bet
18 points with
that's
6
right.
minutes left to go in the basketball game, and they ended up beating us by 6.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They were unbelievable. I mean, they were literally crossing the center line and putting it up and hitting nothing but net.
It was
It
the
was an
Super
incredible
Hicks.
game.
Super Hicks, Jerry Hale,
Jerry Hale.
Schellenberg, the
Yep.
other Schellenberg. Now I see the guys and I can't think of their names. But I hated them guys forever.
So was that in the
Yep.
tournament?
Yes,
This was in
we
the
were
regional
20.
basketball tournament.
Yeah. And who did we get beat by earlier in the year? You remember?
Jeffersonville.
Was it Jeffersonville or was it New Albany? Was it New Albany with Julius Farmer?
Jeffersonville. We shouldn't have lost the game. I remember it vividly because we were playing the refs. I don't say that the refs steal very often, but they stole that game from us.
Well,
And then the thing of it is, they came back to Seymour, Jeffersonville did, about 10 games later, and we beat them by like 10 points.
Mm-hmm. Boy, that was some good basketball because you was on the All-State and Mike Flynn was on the All-State. There's a lot of All-Staters from Cincinnati or from Southern Indiana at that time. Usually there might be a token or something, but there was such good, especially your senior class was what it was.
Well, Hale was on the All-State team, wasn't he? I thought I saw Hale was.
He was on the second team.
Yeah, Jerry Hale, he was a good shooter and he lit him up when the time was right. So I hate him. I hate him.
So you went undefeated your junior year and then lost one game your senior year?
Yes.
Wow.
That's
pretty impressive.
That's real impressive. Pretty.
So that Floyd Central game, I mean, it seems like it still kind of gets to you a little bit today.
I don't like to think about it.
Right.
It was like a nightmare.
Do you have any of that?
It was incredible to watch. I mean, they literally were coming across the center line and firing it up and hitting nothing but net. And there was 18 points down with 6 minutes left to go in the game. And it was just, I remember Jerry Hale was literally saying as he crossed the center line going, Evansville, and firing it up.
Oh my God.
Evansville being where the semi-state was going to be played.
Yeah.
Yep. And there was no 3-point line then, so
no,
they're shooting them bombs.
Was that at Seymour?
Oh yeah, that was what we were happier than hell. We're up 18, started the fourth quarter, and we started stalling.
Well, what happened was they had a bomb scare. Do you remember that, Rick?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They delayed the game for a while, and then they restarted the game with 6 minutes left to go. And because Gene Dixon, who was a prophet, if that's what you want to call it, had predicted that there would be a brand new gym in Southern Indiana that would blow up and a bunch of people were going to get killed. And so we're playing this regional basketball game. We're up 18 points. And an announcer comes on and says, we're delaying the game. There's been a bomb scare, and we may or may not resume the game. So about a half an hour, 45 minutes later, they decided to resume the game. And that's when Floyd Central came back and beat us.
Well, I've never heard that part of the story. Rip, you've never told me that part of the story. Rip must have went to the bathroom. I've never heard that part of the story. So did you evacuate the building or just?
No, we just stayed in the building.
A bomb scare
in the building.
Well, I've never
heard that's the rest of the story that you haven't heard, but it's a true story.
I've never heard that story. Can you pick out Rip in the family picture here?
He's right there in the front row. The Sheriff family is a good family.
Now, my cousin, my uncle, my cousin's dad, I can't remember. I was going to ask Rip, but he's not on here. He always said that one of his brothers was one of the best athletes that he had seen come through Seymour High School. But
who is it?
It was either, I don't remember which one of Rip's brothers. One of Rip's brothers was the good athlete. They would have been younger. They're both younger than.
There's Greg.
And
And then Jenna, that's the daughter.
yeah.
And then there's the one that's younger than, a couple of them
Rip-
are younger than that, I think. There's
Rip,
Rip.
what's your other brother's name? Greg and who?
Brett.
Brett. Was one of them a real good athlete?
Well, Greg was a good athlete, but he broke his leg in football, and he was basically done. He broke his leg in football, and then let's just say it ruined his senior year.
Rip, do you remember the bomb scare at the Floyd Central basketball game?
I didn't until you brought it up, and then I did.
Yeah.
Because it killed it. We went from being aggressive to trying to play to keep from losing.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, that's why we play the game. So
I just can't believe at a bomb scare you didn't leave the building. But oh well. Any more memories, Rip?
well, this ain't X-rated, so I better say no.
Okay. So, Baron, we always end this song. We talk about legends of Seymour, Indiana. We always end this show with the song. You got to give us a little head bob. So these guys, one of them, Jay McElfresh. I don't know if you know the McElfreshes or not.
I do.
But he is another Seymour legend. So he has a kind of a rapish group, if you want to call it. He lives out in New York. He's a DJ called Starcade. So they do our outro music. And so we're gonna play that. Rip always claims that he can't hear it. I don't know if he really can or can't, but I want to thank everybody for listening today. All the super chats: Shane Parks, center of the board; Big George, Frank's pickle barrel ass, center of the board; Shane Parks, Frank again. We'll be here at noon next Friday, December 12th, 12 p.m. Thanks, Baron, for coming on. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
I know Rip has been really wanting you to come on this show and talk. He loves talking old high school Seymour. Man, he just rattles off stuff. I'll ask him, like he said a little bit ago. He says, well, I don't know that. I don't know that. And I said, well, you can name the 1970 starting five for Floyd Central. Why can't you tell me something that happened 2 days ago? So he loves this stuff, man. So thanks a lot for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
Well, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Me heart, love. Thank you, God.
Rip.
Thank you, God. GAWD.
All right.
All right, we're out of here.
All right.